Hey guys, welcome back to a new video, and today we're taking on Curdy 110229. And this guy, he has a pretty dangerous team. Like, he's got like a lot of really strong Pokemon, although I want to say like a lot of really popular Pokemon for a typical PvP player in Pokemon Break Bronze. Alright, so anyways, we start off with a terrible matchup because Dragapult not only outspeeds us, but it can most definitely one-shot us. So I go right into Togekiss. So it's pretty predictable that he's going to go for a Dragon-type attack. And I try to go for the T-Wave because that would just completely shut down the Dragapult. But I guess either he made a good read or he just wanted to switch into Electric type because he saw a Flying type. But he was able to switch into Zeraora and actually was just completely unaffected by that, and that was a bad thing because you know, I don't really have that much for it. So I go into Tyrantrum and uses Wall Switch, which is another crazy move, and that puts me in a uncomfortable situation as he has Dragapult out. So I expected to learn from his lesson, but he goes for Dragon Darts again. So I probably shouldn't have just gone to Togekiss because I took some pretty big damage on Toxapex, and now I'm not quite sure what I want to do. And I think I decide to go for a Toxic, but he goes for U-turn, which is smart once again. I guess maybe he was expecting a switch and goes into Lucario. But either this guy is crazy at reading or he just has made some good moves. But that was even more dangerous. At this point, I'm in fear because I don't know what this guy has. He's been able to predict all my status attacks. So anyways, he Mega Walls into Mega Lucario, and I was thinking, what's the worst that could happen? He has Bone Rush though, which isn't fun. And I'm like, well, I better switch out, so I'm not trying to sustain any more damage. And you just have to remember that Mega Lucario is an Uber because with adaptability, it hits like an absolute truck, even with like not very effective attacks. So he goes for Close Combat, which does huge damage. I forgot why exactly I switched into Sizer, but I did, and that was probably just not a good play. And then he goes for Extreme Speed, which also sucks because I can't get off my Bullet Punch, which was what I was looking to do. So next up, I gotta figure out what I want to do. It's like, it really depends on what moveset this guy is running, because really anything can get kind of obliterated by Lucario. Like, the best thing you can do is use something that like Toxapex really, or something that doesn't take super effective damage from the stab attacks, because you really don't want Lucario using its stabs. Like, without stab, it's kind of just powerful, but it's not insanely scary. But with stabs and adaptability, that thing hits like a truck. So he goes into Zeraora next, and I go for Roost because I'm hoping he goes for Waltering, but instead he goes for Plasma Fist. So this guy is actually really good. And I guess that's also my problem for lacking a bit, because I'm kind of just underestimating it and just, you know, not really playing it safe, which I should be. So I go into Tyrantrums. I figured that's a good opportunity, and I was hoping to get a Dragon Dance off, but he actually has Play Rough on Zeraora. So at this point, I'm like in a really bad position. So I at least hope I can land a Fake Out, because, you know, that's really like a safe way to get effective damage in, especially because like Medicham hits like a truck, and Zeraora probably doesn't have good enough defense. It's made to be more of a speedy attacker. So I'm thinking, well, Fake Out here would be a good opportunity to get some damage. And if I need to switch, I could, and I can go back into Medicham, and the Zeraora will likely no longer be as much of a problem. So luckily, like, sometimes in this game, there's a bit of a glitch where when you use Fake Out, it doesn't actually work right. But in this situation, we got the priority and we got the flinch, and it does actually some really good damage. So next up, I decide that it's probably best to attack him, just finish him off. That's going to be a good move. And luckily, he actually misses his Play Rough. Now, I don't know if that would have been enough to knock me out, but I'm pretty sure it would have, because Medicham isn't known to have great defense, and especially because of how Tyrantrum went down, I wouldn't be surprised if I would have been in a horrible position if he actually made that work out. So anyways, we got lucky there on that award, and I go into Togekiss, which is next against his Dragapult, because really this is the best thing I could think of, because I think what he can do is use Ghost type attacks to deal good enough damage, but he didn't start with that. He went for another move instead. Like, I don't know why he tried to go for Dragon Darts there. Like, it was kind of pointless. Maybe he was trying to make a prediction or something. So anyways, he goes for Phantom Force, which I think about switching out, but I'm like, well, it's probably better to just stay in and tank it. Then I get my T-Wave off, which is great. It doesn't show you when your opponent is paralyzed in this game, but, you know, we already know because you can see the sprite is frozen. So anyways, then the next plan is to just start spamming Air Slash because Togekiss has Serene Grace, and at this point in the game too, I don't have time to mess around. I'm here to turn things around and try and win because I'm not really in a good position. So, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do to ensure that I can, you know, get myself back in the game. So anyways, he goes into Tyranitar, which can actually be a bit problematic in this case. Like, normally I'm not too scared of it. So even though it's quite a bit of a tank, Tyranitar, you know, isn't known for huge damage output. But in that situation, I decided to stay in because Togekiss really isn't needed as much anymore. And I don't want to have to switch in any of my Pokemon into Tyranitar's attacks, because especially like Toxapex, it will take huge damage from Earthquake, and I know this guy is probably running Earthquake on his Pokemon. So he actually has a PvP team, as we saw with Play Rough and the Zeraora earlier. So anyways, I get Medicham in, which is really good. That's kind of what I wanted to get, you know, going, because once I got Medicham in, then, you know, I can start dealing high damage, and his Dragapult was paralyzed, so that will no longer be able to outspeed me. So next up though, he does actually present something that is quite scary, which I didn't realize he had before, which is his Sizer. And Sizer has Bullet Punch, which will easily knock me out, and he could also run Pursuit. But anyways, I didn't think he was going to have Pursuit on that, so I switched out into Toxapex, and instead he actually used X Scissors, so I could have actually just stayed in and maybe even one-shot. I think I would have one-shotted him with a high jump kick, if not brought him to very low HP, to where he wouldn't really be a big problem. But I went to Toxapex because Toxapex really is your best answer to Sizer, because really, like, I think the only thing Sizer can do to Toxapex is knock off, and that's like the worst that can really happen. Whereas with Toxapex, I can burn him, I can use Haze to shut down Swords Dance, I got Recover, I got everything. So he goes into Tyranitar, which is kind of like a neutral matchup, I'd say. I can't really do too much damage to him, but at the same time, his Earthquake isn't really going to do too much damage to me. But the problem is the Sandstorm, because if he gets like a critical hit, it can be scary, because the Sandstorm actually chips you before recovery. So like, it's not fun. But anyways, here though, I am still quite a bit scared, because Toxapex really is like a key Pokemon here to take care of Sizer, and if I lose it, then I'm going to be in big trouble. So that Sizer is at full HP. So, you know, I need to keep Toxapex alive, but at the same time, I do also kind of want to whittle down this Tyranitar so that, you know, he's also kind of less of a problem. So I go for Scald again. It's like, that's really the best thing I can do, and the reason he takes these hits so well, so you got to consider that Tyranitar with Sandstorm gets a special defensive boost, and Tyranitar itself already has really good stats in terms of being a tank. So really, like, that's the benefit. It has an absolutely terrible typing, but especially defensive wise, it is an absolute tank. But really, it still doesn't really win matchups against Pokemon like Toxapex, so I really don't fancy using it too much. And then he presents his last Pokemon, which is actually a Greninja, and that had me incredibly scared, because as you can see, all my Pokemon either will probably get outsped and killed by it. So I thought I was gonna lose this battle at this point, because, you know, I didn't even realize he had this. So I guess it was smarter for him to pull it out right now rather than earlier. So I go into Chandelure. So I'm thinking, well, what's Chandelure really going to bring to the table that none of my other Pokemon bring? Now, of course, it has a good matchup against Sizer, but that's like the only thing I want to get out of it. And Toxapex does that too. So Toxapex can actually take care of all of his Pokemon, which is why I figured it's more important to keep that into the game. So that's why I made that move. So next up, I go into Medicham, because I'm thinking that this is going to be a great opportunity to get a Fake Out in and do massive damage to his Greninja, and I did actually make that work, which was good. So now I had to take about it twice. I think I was thinking about going to Toxapex actually, because then I could go back into Medicham and then go for Fake Out. But then I remembered that he has Sizer, so I probably should just sacrifice Medicham and focus more on keeping Toxapex alive. And you guys have to remember that this is Regenerator Toxapex, which is actually just so essential for a battle like this, because when I swapped it out, I got back all my HP I didn't have earlier. That was also why I went to Chandelure. It's like, if you switch out, then, you know, you get your HP back, and that's a really important thing to do. So I'm actually glad I made that move, looking at it in hindsight, because that definitely helped me out. So I go for Toxic here, and the problem is, in this game, Toxic doesn't work like it should. So he's not actually, or it doesn't appear that he's taking any chip damage. So he sets up the Rain and starts going for Scald, which I actually don't think that was a good move, because with Dark Pulse he could actually flinch me to death if he got lucky, and that probably would have been what I would have done if I was in his situation. But Surf also actually really helped me out, because then I got some huge damage off on my Scalds, which was enough to take care of the Greninja. Then he goes into Tyranitar, which I finish off with Scald, and I mean, at that point the last thing he has left is his Sizer, and I have a good amount of HP, so this really isn't much of a problem. So really I just go for a Scald, because I'm trying to fish for a burn just to suppress him. Fortunately, I can't see if I actually burned him or not, because this game is a bit bugged in terms of the status effects. And he starts setting up, but I have haste for that. That's exactly why Toxapex shuts down a lot of sweepers like Sizer and Aegislash. So I guess he tries it one more time. Maybe he doesn't realize that I used haze, or maybe he's just trying to test his luck. Maybe get a critical hit on something, I don't know. But he goes for an Iron Head, does no damage. Even if it's a flinch or critical hit, it wouldn't matter, and I finish him off. She's GG. That was a great match.